Hey guys, if you've ever wanted to try wire wrapping, this is a great project for you. If you remember, we've made spiral wrapped earrings before and we've had a ton of viewer requests to make a ring to go with them. Let's go over the tools and supplies we're gonna need for this project. We're gonna need a ring mandrel, a flush cutter, chain nose plier, you might need a wire straightener, 22 gauge wire, and 2 large hole beads, 1 per ring. All right, let's get into it. First, we're gonna cut a segment of 22 gauge wire. I'm gonna cut about 4 feet. And slide my bead to the middle. We're gonna do the same spiral technique that we do for the earrings, where we wrap both sides of the wire around the bead, same direction, but in a spiral motion. It helps to hold the bead flat between your hands and just kind of let it spin around as you wrap. And put pressure on it so the wraps do not spring up and over the bead. Just kind of squeeze your bead as you wrap. And that's what it should be looking like. The bead sort of pivots in your hand as you do this. You just let it turn itself as you do it. Okay, once you get your wraps to the desired width, bring those 2 tails underneath. The pearl or bead. And then set it onto the mandrel. And with this method is great, but I find that it tends to pop up a little bit more. So I think if it doesn't work for you, you'll like the second technique a little bit more, but just see which works for you better. So wrap it on the size that you want your ring to be. I want a size 8. Wrap both pieces twice. And then bring those all the bands together. And then wrap around like this, twist them like a helicopter. Make sure your bead is still in place. And you can do this as much as you want. Take it off your mandrel. And then with each tail, you're going to coil on the side of the band 3 times. Just push it in, bring it around. And then trim that off with the flat side of your flush cutter. And just press that down. And then do the other side. That's what it looks like so far. And do the same 3 coils. Push it in, bring it around. And then cut that off. And make sure that's nice and wrapped. And then that's the first technique. You can kind of see how the back is a little exposed and a little bit wild, but it's an option if you're not too hard on it. And it looks really, really pretty. You get that gorgeous little spiral, and I love it. But I had an idea that might work even better for you that I used with this ring. And basically we're just gonna make a quick band by itself and then wrap the bead onto it. So just grab another segment of 22 gauge wire, about 2 feet, and wrap it around the mandrel 3 times on the size you want. I'm gonna do a size 8, or 8.5 actually. And then once you get to there, hold the bands together, slide it off, and then you're gonna make those coils we just did, but without a bead. So just do 3 coils around the band with 1 tail. Trim that off. Roll that in. And then with the other tail, do the same thing, just right here next to it. So you're basically just making a plain ring. All right, and if you want, you can put it back on your mandrel just to shape it once more. Make sure it looks good. And so now we just have a plain ring and we can wrap a bead onto it. So I've already coiled up a bead here. This is actually a coin-shaped bead with a regular hole. You can do that, or like we were using before, I have a large hole pearl. So just do the same spiral technique we did before, where you hold your bead and wrap the tails. And then when you get to a desired look, stop to where the wires are opposite of each other. And then you're just gonna wrap it onto this base. Might be helpful to give it a little squeeze right there on top so it's a little bit flat for your wrapping. So just hold it above and wrap 1 tail 3 times. Okay, and then wrap the other side as well. Trim that off. Roll that in. And put it back on your mandrel. Make sure the shape is what you want. And there you go. You can use really any bead you want for this project. You can use a coin-shaped bead with a regular hole. You can use a large hole bead. You can also just use a regular round bead like this. All right, so I'm gonna show you one more way to make this ring that is a take on a normal wire wrapped ring, where we just do a tiny bit of extra wrapping and it makes it look really neat. So grab some 22 gauge wire again and slide on your bead. This is just a 6mm gemstone bead. And place the bead on the mandrel I'm gonna work on the size 9. You can kind of, when you're doing this ring, you can work on the size that you want it to be. And I want it to be a 9, so I'm just gonna wrap it twice. And then here, I'm going to start wrapping. Just start your spiral on the mandrel. And kind of bring your wire up. Just keep an eye on what it looks like. Try not to let it spring up like that. If you need to, put your hand on the bead to really just tell that wire where to go, or where not to go. And if you get a little kink in your wire, it's okay, just press it out. All right, so you can see the wire's starting to build up, and I'm gonna take it off my mandrel and do a little bit more wrapping here. If it's easier for you, you can just do one half at a time. One tail of wire at a time. And so it's starting to build up, and this can be tricky just because the wire will want to spring out, but with practice, you'll be able to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and coil this tail here. Grab my flush cutter, trim that off. Tuck that in. And then take a look at it, see if you want to add more wraps or anything. And if you do, just go for it with that other side. And then when you're ready, go ahead and make your coils on the other side. All right, so there's that method. Here's what the back looks like. And it's very, very secure. All right, so let's go back over the tools and materials you'll need for this project. You're gonna need a ring mandrel. You may or may not need a wire straightening plier. You're gonna need a flush cutter, a chain nose plier, and I like to use 22 gauge wire, and a gemstone bead. If you need to pick up any of the tools or supplies used today, check out the links below. What other wire wrapped projects would you like to see? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Thanks for watching.